Tucked away from the public gaze, Nick Whiting is practicing. But it's not a piece for the Filarmonia Orchestra.
I'm preparing for an audition for the BBC Welsh, for the Associate Leaders job there. And it's a job where we'll be leading for a certain percentage of the time.
Is it better for you financially having to do that?
Actually, no. It's...
So what's the advantage?
The advantage is that they don't work anywhere near as hard as we do. There's time off.
Keith Bragg, piccolo player and orchestra chairman, is pushed for time too. The Filarmonia is one of the hardest working orchestras in the world, putting in a punishing 36-hour week. That's actually playing music, not counting travel and practice time. The whole thing's coordinated from a suite of cramped offices above a dress shop in central London.
Hi, Jane.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
All right, thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
It's a medium-sized business with a turnover of nearly £8 million a year, a staff including musicians of more than 100, and well-established export links in all major world markets. In the offices, just 14 people do the work that's done by double that number in other orchestras.
Right. See ya.
See you. Bye.
Understandably, the demands of the job means moments you can call your own are few and far between.
Hi, Olivia. I'm going in there now on my own.
All right.
Managing Director David Welton runs a tight ship. He and his staff cope with all the deals, bookings, shipping musicians and instruments all over the world, not to mention insurance, copyright, publicity and fundraising.
Going face up or face down, I can't remember.
Face up.
Keith, though the senior executive of the firm, has had to school himself to the disciplines of office life. He is not a naturally gifted white-collar worker.
Where's standby then?
That one there, yeah?
All
That's
right.
standby. Okay.
So what do I do now?
You've obviously just switched it off, so you have to wait.
While it warms up again.
While it warms
You mean it
up again.
cooled down in that 10,
Yeah.
2 seconds it was off?
He's a loyal Essex man, brought up in Harlow, where he still lives. When he's not playing the piccolo or wrestling with a photocopier, he paints.
It's kind of very, very loosely based on paintings by Miro, which I like. There's three in modern art, in Museum of Modern Art in Paris, which are huge kind of things, and they're just basically blue with very small amounts of colour on. Since I haven't got the skill to do anything representational, I just sort of sit in front of the canvas and splodge that on it.
So you're hoping that perhaps when the Filarmonia finally runs out for you, you'll have a career perhaps in the visual arts?
I don't think I'll ever have a career in the visual arts. And in a way, I suppose I'd say I hope that the Filarmonia finally runs out for me when I don't need a career anywhere.
Do many of the rest of the orchestra live in Harlow?
Nobody. There used to be a couple that lived here when I joined, but they went to Australia. Some nominal percentage of the country's cucumbers are grown all here. I was brought up here from the age of 13, and actually it was a good town for me because there was a very enlightened kind of music policy in those days by the town. Every senior school had a music school, Saturday morning music school. So yeah, it was very good. It gave me the chance to start the flute.
What did your mates think when you became a piccolo player?
The thing was, there was a lot of ribbing for musicians, but the fact that I did a lot of sport as well, you don't get it so bad, you know. I think if you also play in the second row in the rugby team and you play basketball or whatever, you know, and you're involved in a lot of stuff like that. It's not as if anyone can say you're a weed or a sissy or anything like that, because it's just that you do something as well as everything else.
What's it like being a professional musician?
We're kind of like we're artisans rather than artists, musicians. What an orchestral musician is doing is taking somebody else's creative gift, which they put down into dots on paper, and actually turning it into sound. So we're more like bricklayers who would have somebody else's. The architect would do the plan, and then they actually put the bricks in place. They translate what's on paper into the real thing, and I think that's what we do, really.
Being a musician in one of the nation's top orchestras isn't all playing new and challenging works at the festival hall. When the orchestra's begging bowl comes out, volunteers are required to report for sponsor duty. Accompanying Keith is the managing director, David Welton. Formerly trained as a pianist, he has forsaken his desk for the keyboard in aid of the cause. Shimona Cowan, a card-carrying friend of the Filarmonia, has thrown open the doors of her home for tonight's concert.
Well, it was an idea that just sort of came about for public relation mainly, and to support the Filarmonia. By doing these concerts, we will get a sponsorship at the end of this year. So I thought, well, it's a nice thing to be doing, to get to know the musician in person, the musicians, and have them in my home, bring some music to others and to myself at home.
Dues like this are one of the ways the Phil tries to make new friends and influence people. They also pull in around £35,000 a year for the orchestra.
That's breathing for you, see? You put the seat down before. That sound before sounding. Whereas I sound on it without it.
Oh, I see. Belay, a throat, a laboratory, and two basses. What more could you want?
Right, Maya.
They get a good show for their money. Fine music from the orchestra's top executives. David has practiced for weeks to resurrect his skills.
Now look, you should be as cool as a cucumber because you do this 365 days a year. I don't. I do it once every 15 years.
Fantastic, David. Well done. Bravo.
So what do you think of your MD, the man with the hidden talents?
He's not bad.
Yes.
If he negotiates half as well as he plays the piano, we'll be doing all right.
I think the fact that years and years ago I was a musician helps enormously for me to do this job. And I think that's really what matters. And the fact that you've been through the mill yourself means that you've got huge respect for the people that perform day in, day out of their lives. And I think if you were doing my job and you'd been trained as an accountant, you'd do it very differently.
Back with the professionals in the less salubrious surroundings of deep South London, the orchestra's principal clarinetist, Mike White, is practicing Stravinsky's Ebony Concerto. He's been chosen as soloist for the Philharmonia's new recording of the piece, the latest in what Mike sees as a string of lucky breaks.
I was very lucky actually because I'd been in the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra from college. Then I left there to freelance so I could get a bit more experience in different types of music. And then they asked me to come and cover a rehearsal, so I did this rehearsal and it all went very well. And so they said, how do you fancy having a job here? So it was kind of a bit bizarre really, you know. One moment I was sort of nobody really, I was just sort of doing anything. And then the next minute I was principal in a Filarmonia and started getting together with this Ebony Concerto. I'm trying to work out the style of it. What do I do? Do I just play it straight? Which sounds, to me, sounds a bit straight. Do you put a kind of bend on the note? Or do you just do a sort of vibrato? We haven't got a lot of time, and one thing's for sure is I've got to get my part right, because there's going to be a whole load of things going wrong. Things like this, by just doing that, the first few notes, you've got to get your part together with the harp. Now, is the harp going to swing that or not?
In the event, the question turns out to be academic. The harpist has turned up without her instrument.
Could have been a disaster. Fortunately, we found one of our harpists who lives up the road, and it's on she's bringing hers on her way now. It should be here any minute.
The Abbey Road session has been squeezed in between tour dates on a wet Sunday morning. An administrative cock-up has put the harp on the van to the wrong gig.
I got to Paris without my violin. First time I worked with this orchestra. Really? Yes. And I didn't realise till I was on the plane. And, you know, the shame of having to tell Mansell.
Fantastic.
At last, the replacement harp is wheeled in. Then news of fresh disaster.
Andrew, are you all right? I haven't got a cello.
No, I know. Okay.
Andrew Schulman has the same problem with his cello.
Saviour. Saint Miriam.
At least one hug.
Saint Miriam.
I haven't washed.
Saint Miriam.
Andrew, just calm down. Things are always worse than you think.
I'm not unkind. Come and sit down and tell us all. Well, I went to see Alien Resurrection for the second time last night.
Did you take your cello?
No.
Do you play the cello?
Yes, I do, yes. But I don't have one today.
What was it like?
It's a good idea.
Luckily, the lady who loaned the harp has a partner who plays the cello. Mansell Bebb makes another call.
You see, it's daft Andrew just needing his cello and not telling Dave, you know, and that's that. But anyway, look, Jason, if you don't mind, I had to move quickly, is on his way up to find you now. Can you give him a cello, please? Thank you very much, mate. All right, mate. No, well, it might come for some glockenspiel or something later. Huh? All right.
One.
Maestro Robert Kraft was Stravinsky's former musical assistant, as close as you can get to the horse's mouth without an exhumation order.
One harp, and now a cello. Very good. Huh? So there we are. Long may they play the Ebony Concerto. That's all I say.
Studio time is an expensive commodity. The schedule must run like clockwork.
Come on, Jason. Come on, Jason.
How long before the session starts?
4 minutes past before. Oh, don't try coming there.
Separated from my family for the last 3 years. I'm still living out of a suitcase, and it's pretty difficult because, of course, I've got to move heaven and earth to see my children at the times when I can see them. And so today is a day where I'm going to be working very hard, and if I'm going to see my children at all, then the only thing I can do is do the school run. But, you know, it's real sort of hand-to-mouth sort of existence in that respect, and it's not good enough for them. I don't feel happy with it at all, and I want to try and change that.
Do they have any musical talent?
Amy's learning the piano. Oscar's a bit too young at the moment to do anything.
Yeah, but I just have to do my letters and numbers.
That's right. You concentrate on your academic work, I think, at the moment. Basically, the feeling for playing is so strong. It's like a ball and chain around your feet, really. You've got to be nutty about music to live this kind of lifestyle, I think. But also, there's a fantastic sort of sense of humour about it as well. I mean, when you're being sort of treated at the worst, for instance, people somehow managed to find humour out of it. Doing an opera in Germany once, and the director insisted that all questions were to be asked in German, and you weren't allowed to speak English. And we're doing Lohengrin, it was, I think. And so the horn players, bless their hearts, they're fantastic. You know, as soon as they wanted to ask a question, of course, they would go, Entschuldigung, like this. You know, just find little ways of this kind of resistance, because the whole nature of being an orchestral musician is that you basically subjugate your whole person, all your ideas, your own personal ideas. You have to just completely throw them away. Just say, right, I don't matter. The guy on the box on the podium, he's the guy that matters, and you have to give them what they want.
The new guy on the box is James Levine, probably the world's most highly paid maestro. He's been hired as guest conductor for 3 concerts featuring world-class soloists. Levine's a top-dollar conductor, costing almost as much per concert as a rank-and-file player gets in a year, but he comes with added value. He's famous even to football fans as the man waving the stick on the 3 Tenors video, so he puts bums on seats, and his exquisite musicianship provides a masterclass for the orchestra.
Everybody, it's very good. And 2 subtle things I need to ask you for. Did you notice it got louder the last 6 bars and there's not an indication anywhere that it should, right? It just happens. Don't let it happen. Don't billow out long tones. Leave them alone so that the passage work goes over it easily, etc. Did I schlep you too much in the passage, or it was okay? I started to, and then I could feel it. The other thing is, don't be late, right? Be there. That's because when I hear him play the passage, I know where he is. He's standing right next to me, right? Don't let me start to do this and let it start to swim. In one of those continuums, if I lose eye contact with you for too long, I can't adjust to him. And if you solve that, then everything's ideal after that.
Time's running out for the end-of-year accounts, and David Welton has to get them ratified by the Players' Council. A tight rehearsal schedule means orchestra business has to be conducted as and where.
Sorry, is this this is the same as what we're going to sign?
Yes, it is. David just has a couple of things which he wants to add to the activities and review of the business relating to confidentiality of commercially sensitive material.
There are just 2 things. You know that under the SORT guidelines we are obliged to expand the introduction to the accounts to put in policy of the orchestra, aims and objectives, and so on and so forth. So you see a slightly expanded version of what we normally have there. However, some of the requirements I regard as commercially confidential, and I just need your guidance as to whether or not to include them.
I think you should be as vague as legally possible, really. I think we should only give what the SORP guidelines say and no more.
I'm personally happy with that. Is anyone not happy with that as being the right way? So we'll...
So we're not telling anybody anything they don't know already?
Exactly. That's really the line I would advise.
Is that okay? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
And there's just one additional item that I want to bring up. With you not here, David.
So something interesting.
Just leave the chart.
You can have my wallet.
Okay. I've been speaking to David quite a long time about his contract here, which expires at the moment in the 1st of August 2000. 1st of August 2000. And we've sort of to and fro, but he actually now has agreed to extend as far as February 2002, which is an extension of just over 18 months. I mean, personally, I think he's done an amazing job, and we want him to go on doing it as long as we can, basically. Valier was offered a massive job in America just 2 months ago. Talking telephone numbers in terms of salary, this is something we shouldn't hesitate over myself.
Very, very good.
Yeah. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, David doesn't have time to celebrate his new deal. Before the Levine Vengerov concert at the Festival Hall, the Filarmonia hosts the Friends Christmas party, a thank you for their patronage and support throughout the year. But there's a cloud to mar the festivities. In Switzerland, a young woman has committed suicide, and the orchestra's president and most vital patron, Vincent Meyer, has been arrested. There are allegations of sexual abuse.
It's real news in the world stuff, I'm afraid.
He's been one of our most loyal supporters and benefactors for a very long time. He's been president for, I think, 14 years. Certainly as long as 14 years. That involves a lot of support, a lot of financial support. He gives a lot of money annually to the orchestra. I've known him 10 years, and it is inconceivable, absolutely inconceivable, that these allegations could be true. As far as I'm concerned, they're complete rubbish. I know this man. I've stayed with him in his house in Provence. I've been with his children there, and I've been for meals with him. I've had meetings with him on many occasions, and as far as I'm concerned, this is a complete shock, and I think there must be a mistake. He is president of the orchestra, and he will remain president of the orchestra.
Their patron is in jail, but there's a major concert season to finish. Booking James Levine puts you in with the chance of netting his big chum. Pavarotti has been booked to sing the Verdi Requiem in Birmingham and at a Royal Gala in London. The requirements of the piece pose certain problems for the clarinets.
What normally happens is that somebody wants to see the drum because that's the Verdi drum, but it doesn't actually sound as good as the small one we've got. So he'll only hit it once, prove that it's stuff, and then carry on using the old one. If you had health and safety in measuring the decibel level coming off that, it would be intolerable. You couldn't get that on a factory shop floor.
Viola player Mike Lloyd has recently returned from a much-needed holiday.
The red and yellow is blood moving towards you, and the blue and the green is blood moving away. What you've seen before is
An occupational injury, a blood clot in his shoulder, has put his career in doubt.
We took an early holiday because we weren't going to get a family holiday during the summer. And just about 3 days before the end of the 2 weeks, I woke up one morning and nothing had happened before, and I just said to my wife, God, what the hell's happened to my arm, my left arm? Didn't look odd. It felt very odd. It felt swollen inside. So I went to the doctor the next day, and that was that. He sent me straight down to casualty. It's in an odd place, you know, and that's why when I got my wife to bring my viola to hospital after a couple of days, and I held it up for him without putting any pressure on it at all. Just held it there, and he said, aha, that's what's on it. So it's the ultimate viola joke. You know?
It's what all professional instrumentalists dread. Playing any musical instrument involves strange contortions and abnormal stress, which the Filarmonia schedule does little to alleviate.
It's really just proximal. There's no way of bridging out at all when you play.
Mike's already considering alternative careers.
I'm as far as I believe I'll get in the Filarmonia Orchestra, which perhaps isn't as far as I'd like to get, but maybe my chance will come elsewhere. I don't know what the future holds for me, I guess. This is what I really am happy doing. Because I know I do it really well.
Including music?
Ask my colleagues about that.
If you were to pack up the orchestra, what would be open to you?
One of the things I would like to do is to counsel addicts of alcohol and drug-related problems, because it's a subject that I know quite a lot about. I did have a major problem with alcohol, and it's interesting. The place where I went to receive, in inverted commas, or inverted me at the moment, treatment. There were several of us in this particular group, and we were asked, you know, irrespective of money, irrespective of anything, what would you do if you could? And without even thinking about it, I don't know why, but without even thinking about it, my answer was a mountain guide in the Himalaya. And that really is what I'd love to do. This is about where I would love a conductor to come round and shake my hand.
100-piece orchestra, the 200-strong choir and the big Verdi drum are ready for rehearsal. Then comes the bombshell.
Sorry everyone, can I just have your attention please? Unfortunately, Luciano Pavarotti is suffering from a very severe flu and will be unable to sing either of the performances of the Requiem. We've been very fortunate in securing the services of Roberto Alagna to replace him. That's it. Okay, thanks.
The switch brings further problems back at base.
Luciano Pavarotti has cancelled, so we need to decide now what we're going to do to cope with this problem. First of all, we need to agree a statement that goes out. Secondly, we need to inform Birmingham. Thirdly, we need to inform Festival Hall so that they don't go too far in terms of reorganising backstage arrangements. And we need to inform all the ticket purchasers. Jill, what's your first reaction?
Panic. We have the implication that we charge those ticket prices because Pavarotti was coming, and we're probably going to have to reduce them, and we're going to get waves of tickets back because people will think we've done it on purpose.
David is chuffed to have secured Roberto Alagna, sometimes called the fourth tenor. The only drawback, he hasn't sung the piece for years. Hurried revision was necessary on the way over from Milan with the aid of a borrowed score, personal headphones and a CD.
Save me doing it.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. It's worthwhile. Isn't it good?
Luckily, Roberto's a fast learner and seems to have got the hang of it to everyone's satisfaction.
We've got the
us some names. We've got about 80 to go through here. Claire's made a start.
So by the time we actually get to tomorrow night, we should have run every single person.
Oh, I would imagine by today.
Do we have, as yet, any early indication of what people's response is?
Said that, it was fine, really. So we'll have a better idea. I mean, once we've done the 80 that we have here, we can sort of look at percentages of how many want refunds and how many...
But we're sticking with the policy of no refund.
Are we? Said who?
Malcolm Young.
He said he'd spoken to you and that you'd said if people did send their tickets back, then they would get the money back, as we normally have.
Yeah, in extremis. Yeah, in extremis. Yeah. But only in extremis.
Before the arrival of their royal patron, Prince Charles, there's only a little time for fine-tuning.
It needs to be pretty indefinable. There has to be a kind of rumble about it, and it needs to sound a bit thundery. That's about the nearest I can say, really. It has become the custom that a big instrument is used.
There are rumblings in the car park too. Chris's car has broken down, but Mike, the viola-playing mechanic, is on the case.
He's brilliant because he knows all about cars. Apparently know where the ashtray is. It took me half an hour to find out how to lift the bonnet. That hose there came off. That had completely shot off. Just happened around the corner, but I was driving very fast to get into work. So don't get my registration number in this, will you? Otherwise all the Surrey police will be looking for.
I would say you lost nearly all of your water. All right, start it up and just tick it over.
Yeah?
Just tick it over, don't rev it at all.
Thus, the country's top musicians prepared to play for their future king. A trip to Allied carpets converts the goods lift into the royal lift. The Verdi Requiem had been played at Diana's funeral just 3 months before. Whether this added to the poignancy of the gala is a secret known only to the prince himself.
Yes.
Can do that. This is Chris Warren. That's your favorite.
It's one of my favorites. You're absolutely right. I must say, kind of reason I very much like to die today. Do you know what I mean? I want to be played or something. I can't see them especially well. Keith, what do you play? Piccolo. Piccolo.
Isn't it fun to see such a tall piccolo?
At least you didn't have to stand up this time to it on your own. Exactly.
Oh, you remember?
I've never forgotten him leading the orchestra.
He did it back in the day.
What will you do it again? Yes. I'm sure there's some good excuses. For raising some more money for the preliminaries. Everybody's short of money. It's a nightmare, isn't it? But we'll do another one. I want to do a big Wagner.